Hello, my name is Jessie Dummer, and I'm the Digitization Project Coordinator at the Schoenberg Institute for Manuscript Studies at the Kislak Center for Special Collections, Rare Books, and Manuscripts at the Penn Libraries. Thank you for your interest in OPenn. OPenn is a website for the dissemination of open data derived from special collections materials, and it's my goal that after this short video introduction, you will have a good understanding of why access to open manuscript data is important, and that you will be tempted to use our data in your own projects. In May 2015, Penn Libraries and the Schoenberg Institute for Manuscript Studies launched OPenn, Digital Primary Sources Available to Everyone. This website here that you see here, this is the home page, that makes digitized cultural heritage material freely available and accessible to the public. All images and metadata on the OPenn website are available as free cultural works to be studied, copied, modified, or used by anyone for any purpose at no cost. And we have focused on making manuscript material available on OPenn since its inception, but we will be adding printed material as well. If you go to the collections page, you can see the different collections that we have available. And then we have Penn Books and Manuscripts here, the University of Pennsylvania Museum of Archaeology and Anthropology, the Library Company, Lehigh University, and so on. The OPenn philosophy is based on 4 core values that we stand by when we make our data available to the public. The images and metadata must be high quality. If we go to the Lawrence J. Schoenberg Manuscripts collection, this is a collection we have here at Penn. And if you click on one of these manuscripts to browse, you'll see that in every collection for every item, we offer archival TIFF files. Our archival TIFF files are 400 ppi or higher. We also have web JPEGs for each manuscript that are 1800 pixels on the longest side. And we also have thumbnail JPEGs, which are 190 pixels on the longest side. To reuse the data, you need quality images like our archival TIFFs, but thumbnails and web JPEGs also work well for easy reuse in web applications, which is why we offer all of these options. We also offer robust metadata in a standardized accepted format, TEI, and this enhances interoperability of digital projects. All of this information up here about this manuscript is being drawn from our TEI file, and in a moment I'll also show you where you can find that TEI file to download. The second core value that we stand by when we make our data available to the public is that any item on OPenn must be a free cultural work as defined by freedomdefined.org. So you have the freedom to use the work and enjoy the benefits of using it, the freedom to study the work and apply knowledge acquired from it, the freedom to make and redistribute copies in whole or in part of the information or expression, and the freedom to make changes and improvements and to distribute derivative works of the item. Creative Commons licenses endorse this definition of free cultural works, and these are the licenses we use on OPenn. If you go to our collections page, if you go to any of our collections, you'll see information there about licensing for both the images and the metadata. They often don't have the same license, so it's important to check both the images and the metadata. And then if you go to an individual item, there's also licensing information about each manuscript. Here we have information about the licensing of this item. The third core value that we stand by when we make our data available to the public is that the data must be easy to access quickly and efficiently using a variety of protocols such as anonymous FTP and programs like anonymous rsync and wget that use the command line utility. In other words, you can download the data with as few barriers as possible. And I'd like to also plug another video that I will be producing on how to use wget to download manuscripts and data, our images and metadata from OPenn. And the fourth core value that we stand by is that OPenn must be easy to browse for humans, but structured in a predictable way for computers. This allows you to find the data you want, but use computer programs to do all the work. So we have our collections page. This is the human browsable part. If you go to our Schoenberg collection at Penn, You can see we have information here about the collection, the licensing, about the image standards and specs, and then you have all the different manuscripts down here. You can browse through each manuscript, look at the metadata here that's being drawn from the TEI document, and then as you scroll down, you have your thumbnails that you can look at. You can click for a bigger image. You can download the TIFF. And this is all very nice for humans to look at. But if you want to use your computer to get this information, one thing you need to note is the collection ID. Then if you go back to the main page and go to the data folder, you'll find different collections here. Each collection we have on OPenn has an ID. And if you go into the ID, you see all these items are also listed here. And it looks like a directory structure that you would find on your computer. If you click on an item, you'll find a data folder. Inside the data folder, you have access to that TEI file that you can download. You also have access to all the TIFFs, which are in the master folder. And you have access to all the thumbnails, which are in the thumb folder. And you have access to all the web JPEGs, which are in the web folder. And this is where you would point your computer in order to get images or metadata from OPenn. Another note about licenses. Currently, we offer data on OPenn under one of 3 Creative Commons licenses. We have things in the public domain, which are items that are free of known copyright, like medieval manuscripts. We also have items that have a CC0 license. Those have a public domain dedication, but are materials that are under copyright, but the copyright holder has given them a public domain dedication. And we also have images and metadata with a CC BY license, which means you must give appropriate credit, provide a link to the license, and indicate if changes have been made to the data. And you can find, again, you can find information about the licensing under the collections page for each collection. Right here at the top, licensing. So what can you find on OPenn? As I've mentioned, on OPenn, we have the Lawrence J. Schoenberg collection of manuscripts. Here are nearly 300 manuscripts and documents with an emphasis on the history of science and the transmission of knowledge across time and geography. This is a collection of manuscripts that we have at the Kislak Center. We also have over 1,300 medieval, Renaissance, and early modern manuscripts from Penn's Rare Book and Manuscript Library, and we're continuing to add them to the site until we have all our Western manuscripts up on OPenn. We are working on a project in conjunction with PACSCOL, the Philadelphia Area Consortium of Special Collections Libraries, to digitize 3 to 5 diaries from each member institution and put them up on OPenn with TEI XML metadata. Right now we have diaries up from 11 institutions, and we'll be adding more in the near future. So most of the other collections that you see up here are part of the Diaries project. Bryn Mawr, the Union League, and we have, this is a very interesting diary. It's a testimony on eyewitness testimony from the Lincoln assassination. And we also just started adding Indic manuscripts to OPenn thanks to our NEH grant-funded project to digitize our collection of 3,000 manuscripts. So far we have about 400 available on OPenn. And we also have a small collection of Thai manuscripts from our collection, as well as Thai manuscripts from the University of Pennsylvania Museum of Archaeology and Anthropology. And there are some items here, for instance, from the museum, Penn Museum. In addition to all of these manuscripts, we will be adding more medieval manuscripts thanks to the Bibliotheca Philadelphiensis project. PACSCOL, whom I mentioned earlier with the Diaries project, in relation to the Diaries project, as well as Penn, Lehigh University, and 15 other institutions, received a CLEAR grant that just started in April to digitize all medieval manuscripts in the Philadelphia area and to put them up on OPenn. So we're very excited about that. So why use open data? A big reason to use open data is that it's free access to manuscripts that you might want to work with, and on OPenn, downloading is easy. You don't have to contact the reprographics department, and the Creative Commons licenses tell you exactly what you can and cannot do with the data. So no need for all those individual emails to curators. It's also convenient. You can access the data from anywhere as long as you have a computer, and it reduces the number of times you might have to handle a manuscript. The metadata is also an important component of open data because it provides context to the images. There's some very basic information embedded within the image files that we offer, but the TEI descriptions include both descriptive metadata that is coming from the cataloging record, and also structural metadata that links images to page-level metadata. As long as you download the TEI file along with the images, you will have access to this robust metadata, and you can use it for any purpose. But the most interesting reason for using open data is that you can explore manuscripts, create projects, and experiment in ways that you wouldn't be able to do with the physical object. One of my colleagues here at Penn, Dot Porter, who's our curator of digital research services, has been one of our super users since the beginning, and she has worked on a number of different projects using data on OPenn. For instance, she has made page-turning versions of our manuscripts using Internet Archive's book reader. So for instance, this is LJS 224, and you can page through it just as if you were reading it, which is, a convenient way of looking at a manuscript. She has also created ebooks of our codices in using the open source EPUB format. And you can find them all here in Scholarly Commons under the Schoenberg Institute for Manuscript Studies ebooks. And you could download these onto your phone or onto your computer. And the nice thing is that you don't have to, once you have them on your device, you don't have to be connected to the internet in order to browse them. Another project that she's worked on is her collation tool. She has digitally disbound this codex here to show how the bifolia were originally put together in quires using images and metadata from OPenn and a collation formula. So as you can see here, this is quire 1 of LJS 266 at Penn. And she's essentially taken images and put them together as they would have existed before the book was sewn. And she's also uploaded all of the University of Pennsylvania rare book and Pennsylvania manuscripts that we have available on OPenn up to ViewShare, which is an interface provided by the Library of Congress. And she's also put the manuscripts up from the Walters Art Museum. And here you can actually search. You can search by language. You can search by place. You can search by place of origin for manuscripts. You can search by language. You can search by subject, time period. So it's a nice way to sort of browse and search through our manuscripts and the Walters manuscripts at the same time. And there's also things like a timeline view, so you can look through, well, this is the 20th century, but here we go. So you can search through the timeline until you find manuscripts, and it tells you sort of when they existed in this timeline. Maybe if we click 16th century, it'll change. There we go. So now we're in the 16th century, and you can see these are the different manuscripts that we have in the 16th century. And this takes you to the record, which you can click on. Another thing to note is that on ViewShare, let me get out of the timeline view. On ViewShare, she has put links to her ebooks, the page turners, the data, the OPenn page for that manuscript So it's a useful resource just for that. So OPenn fits into a complicated digital landscape that offers consumers of cultural works a range of options. But there are a few things that make OPenn different from most other open data resources. OPenn gives you access to the highest quality image available. The TEI is exposed to the user, whereas it can often be quite difficult to extract metadata from other sites. OPenn also allows you to download data in bulk, so you can specify what you want, whether it's all the TIFFs from multiple manuscripts from a collection or all of the TEI XML files from every item on OPenn. And other resources often only allow you to download items one at a time. So thank you very much. I hope I've piqued your interest in OPenn and that you'll find it useful for a future project. We're excited to see what people create now that they have access to the data, so we would love to hear from anyone who does use OPenn in their work. So please let us know if you do, and you can always email us at OPenn, OPENN, at pobox.upenn.edu. Thank you very much.